Hi there, my name's David. Today we'll do a Lightroom tutorial showing you how to use graduated filters and also to do some basic color corrections. Hi, I'm going to show you today how to take a problematic picture such as the line on the left and to create a more pleasing picture such as the one on the right. Now the first thing you need to do is understand what we've done in the picture, why it was problematic. The line in the picture on the left is in shadow with a brighter background. The camera has taken a reading off the sky more strongly than the lion, even though I was using center-weighted metering, and it was produced a picture that was slightly dark. Now, in a normal situation, you would try and expose the lion a little bit brighter because bringing detail out of dark areas often produces a certain amount of noise. So we tend to try and expose things a little bit more brightly. But I'm going to show you in a situation like this using a full frame camera such as the Nikon D850, which has got a wonderful dynamic range. And if you're shooting in RAW, you're able to recover the dark areas with very little noise. Okay, so let's begin, and we'll go back to the history of this picture on import, and we can work directly from there. We'll close this panel, and okay, so here we can see in our histogram where you've got an open area to the right-hand side of the graph, that's showing that the picture is underexposed. Now we could, if we wanted to, use exposure and work globally and push the exposure across, but that's going to affect the brighter areas too, and that's certainly the bushes behind it. Let's say we want to retain those. We'll now need to work more locally on just the shadow areas. Well, we can try and identify them with shadows and bring them, but you can see we're having to push that slider quite far to the right, and that's stretching this picture in a way we don't really want to do. It's going to affect the overall quality. So what I prefer to do is to grab a graduated filter here, and where we can now do local adjustments, if we move this grad filter over the lion in such a way, we are now able to work specifically on the exposure of that part of the image without affecting the sky and the bushes as much. Now, the blue cast produced by photographing in shadows, we can remove that as well by working in the temperature slider here. So we can do that, and that's going to now create a warmer, nice picture of that lion. So we can, I don't need saturation on, I'm going to take that back. Now we close that curve, and now we can grab another graduated filter if we wish. And we can now drag that down from the top, and we can work on our brighter sky areas. Now let's do this like so, and now we can reduce the exposure of those areas. Let's do it dramatically, and I want to show you how it's actually going to start affecting the top of the mane above his head as well, and we're going to sort that problem out later. So let's say we go down so much. We can also reduce the color temperature. We can make it a little bit bluer if we wish. We can also adjust our filter left and right using those arrow keys. So again, we've got to reduce that saturation, which has been set by the default. We don't want that on. Okay, close. Now, just to show you that this area of the mane has been affected by the grad filter, but if we click on that area again, we are able to now go into the brush tool. You see we've selected this grad filter by pressing on that, creating that little black spot there. The other one is grayed out. That's the first grad filter. This is just working on the sky one now. And we can take the brush and set it to erase, and we can now go into the mane and we can remove the effect of the graduated filter as it applied to the lion. So that's pretty handy, and I use that in all situations with landscapes and different things. We've got trees that might be affected. Okay, we are going to close that now, and we're going to now, what else do we want to do to our picture? I think the temperature is now pretty correct for the whole picture. Highlights and blacks and shadows, our histogram is sitting in a much more comfortable place. It's moving, it's reaching the black areas here. There's no clipping, and there's no clipping of the whites. We can do a little bit of shadow adjustment if we wish, just to bring out a little bit of detail in the lion, bring out some of those mid-tone, those shadow areas there. Whites and blacks we're going to leave, vibrance we're going to leave, and we're happy there. The next thing we're going to look at is color, just to give you an idea of luminance. If you wanted to work on the luminance of the blue, you could actually work on the skies, but that's going to affect colors right through the picture, and I don't think we need to do that. So we're going to just leave the colors, and I'm going to show you another way of working on colors in calibration here. Sometimes just moving the blue tab here does quite a nice job of working on the saturation. Detail is where we do sharpening, and we're going to mask off the area that we want to sharpen by sliding with the Alt key depressed. We can now mask off the areas that we want to apply the sharpening. And now by moving the sharpening across, I'll just do it quite dramatically, it's going to only work, or predominantly work, on the areas that we've masked. There's no issue with noise, although we have worked quite a bit on the picture. I'm not seeing a lot of noise in this picture. I'm quite pleased with the result. I don't think, even though that this area was slightly darker, we're not getting too much noise. Noise being those little spots. The picture's looking good and clean. We will work on the lens correction, remove chromatic aberration, and profile correction. I do that with most pictures. And finally, effects. We can add a touch of vignetting to the side of the pictures, not too much that you can see it. Too dramatically, minus 90, minus 20, that seems to be about right. And now we can have a look at the before and after. We have improved our picture, and it's 100% better.